What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Logan Cole's Convos podcast. And today I'm doing a solo episode. Today's episode is brought to you by my newest business at fittest_official on Instagram. It hasn't got a Facebook yet, but the real name for it is Fittest Athletics. So go over and jump over and give that page a follow. Also, if you're not yet following this Instagram page, it is at Logan Cole's Convos podcast. Also give Logan Cole's Coaching a following. Logan Cole Coaching, Logan Cole's Coaching, whatever it is. And my main Instagram you'll find on any of those, or just go to Logan Cole with 3 E's, 4 E's, something like that. Type it in, you'll find me. And you can follow all my stuff there. Also, this podcast page also has a Facebook. If you want to jump over and follow that, some information goes up there as well. And if you're following the Instagram, you can ask questions or whatever for upcoming episodes and find out what you want to know, rather than just going through a whole episode and going, oh my God, you didn't answer my questions. But anyway, go over, do that, follow me everywhere. Make sure you subscribe, give this podcast a rating. It really helps. And I'll be trying to get on as many guests as I can. The next episode I'll be having is with my massage therapist, and we'll be talking about stuff you can do to recover and how they help you, how you can do stuff on your own and how much of that you should be doing, etc, etc, etc. Coming up on August 3rd is my new Level Up 8-week challenge. If you want to jump on that, get in contact with me via the email for that is logancolecoaching@gmail.com, and that is where you'll find me. That is where I can send you some information, or just contact me on any of the Instagrams that I messaged above, that I mentioned above, I messaged above, I mentioned them above. Today's episode is something that I did not too long ago. I spent some time living in my van during COVID time. It was always kind of something that, no, it wasn't always something I was doing, but it was always something that I kind of was interested in doing. I seen people do it. I'm like, oh, that would be a challenge. Maybe, just maybe, I might give it a go. It pretty much all started with, oh, by the way, like I have a couple of questions that people want answered, but I'll answer them kind of like after the story of like how it happened. Because a lot of people are like, oh my God, how did you even think of to do that? So I'm going to go over the full story, and then I'll go back and I'll go on to Instagram where some people have asked me some questions, and we'll go over that. So to start off, I was living by myself anyway. I was spending $380 a week just in rent, and this doesn't take into consideration bills, groceries, fuel, all that. And it didn't worry me. It wasn't like I was struggling with money and that's why I went into my van. That's what a lot of people don't understand. They think, oh, were you struggling? Like, oh, why didn't you just move home to your parents and stuff like that? And I was like, no, I wasn't struggling. I just wanted to experience it. I like do something that's a bit harder and just like test yourself, something that a lot of people wouldn't do. So I did it. One of the things that I started doing, this before I even thought I was going to move into my van, was I just started selling stuff on Marketplace, stuff that I was like, if I haven't used it in like 6 months and it's laying around, I'm just going to sell it. I ended up selling like all my like knives and forks, some pots and pans that I hadn't used, just like, well, some of it I didn't even sell it. I just went on Marketplace or UOW buy and sell and gave it to someone who needed it, and I'd just like drop it off. I'd seen a couple of like van life videos pop up in my YouTube feed and like watched them and thought that was pretty interesting. So I started asking some people about how to kind of go about actually building something in the back that was going to be easy enough to live in. And most people were like, oh, it'll probably take like a week or like a good like 24 hours, so it'll eventually take a week, or whatever. And I was like, oh, I don't want to be spending ages. I want to try this. And at this time, so at this same time, I'd also had COVID come around. Classes had gotten smaller, like my classes had gotten smaller. I could only do 10 people, and then all of a sudden I could only train one person one-on-one. So I didn't need the back of my van for all this stuff. And they said, oh, like gyms are going to open up back till July. And I was like, well, this would be the perfect time, so I want to do it like now. It was probably a bit harder because I'd also gone through, if you listen to one of my more recent podcasts on how not to be an equipment distributor, that was my, I was doing that at the time of living in my van. So I'd have to like move the bed frame out and like put all the equipment in when I was going to go deliver it, and then like put the bed frame back in to sleep in there and stuff like that. And so all that happened, and I didn't have to like haul around equipment every day for PTs. I had my storage unit, and I would just go to that and like have all my equipment in there and do my one-on-ones from in there rather than hauling stuff around. And yeah, that's kind of how that went about. And yeah, it was probably the easiest time to do it because of COVID. It had cooled down. Everyone's like, oh, you need to insulate the van. I'm like, no, I would rather it be cold at night and just like have a thick doona. That's one of the things, like if you insulate it and it gets too hot in there, then you have to crack a window, and I didn't want that. I didn't want to be cracking windows to do that, to cool it down. I would rather it be cold inside and I could warm up by like wearing a jumper or whatever. As for the build, I went down the route of, after asking a couple of people and them saying, oh, the bed frame's going to cost X amount or whatever, I ended up just going, you know what, all I need to fit is a couple of tubs underneath, which we're going to have like my butane burner, some pots and pans, some food, clothes, whatever. And I just like measured them, and I think they were like 300 high. So I went to Bunnings one day and just got a length of 2x4 cut at 400 mil lengths, and just had a piece of plywood cut so it would kind of like fit in between my wheel arches. So for those of you like looking on the camera, I had my wheel arches come up here, and then the legs only went as wide as the inside, and then the length of the ply was like 100 or 1700 mil, and then it was like 14 or 1500 mil wide. So it kind of like, it was snug. Like I would have to sometimes lay a bit diagonally across it or whatever, like it. But if it was any smaller than that, I'd probably have to like lay sideways and just like curl up into a ball. So I just like one day like went and bought the plywood, went and bought some screws. I already had a drill, a 2x4 that I got cut up, and I just pretty much just measured it all up and then drilled like 4 legs, 4 legs, 4 legs, 4 legs, just for stability. And I could like take that in and out. It was a bit easier than just in and out, but it pretty much just like went in and out, like without it having to be fixed into one space and me not being able to use that space, especially when I was delivering the equipment. From there, I just like, the first night I had to go up to my cousins in Bundeena anyway, so I like went to a party or their birthday and then just stayed in the van. So that was kind of like the opening, and then it took a couple of nights of finding probably like the quietest spot, but definitely with the van it was like super stealth. Like there was a few times that I parked just on the side of the road, and then I would just go from the front seat over into the back, straight onto the bed, and that was it for the night. And like wake up in the morning and whatever. So I spent 8 weeks doing that, and that was like the hardest thing was probably the cold showers down the beach, especially because it was cold and it was cold, so it was good for sleeping and stuff. But the cold showers was the hardest thing because all the gyms were closed and everything like that, so you'll have to kind of like tough that out a little bit. The food was fine. I had my storage unit with the microwave and stuff in there, so I would just be like buying like meal preps and like heating them up in there, so it wasn't all that bad. But I did find I ate takeaway a fair bit. But all in all, like, I'm so glad I did it. Like, just like when I, like, say for example, I did my bodybuilding comp, and I'm glad I did it. I wouldn't do it again by choice, but like now I know that if I ever get into that situation, that I can just like revert back to that and know that I can survive doing that if shit hits the fan in life in any way. And then a couple of weeks ago, I was delivering equipment to someone I know, and she said that she had a I think there might be someone at the door. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Just had our first delivery to the podcast, okay? So I'm gonna open this up and see what it is. It looks like it might be some of my new workout gear, to be honest. For those of you on the camera, you will be able to see this. For those of you listening, watch it on YouTube. Look at this. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so what I've got here, it is workout gear. I got some thumb grips. Might not be able to see that. Thumb grips for my clean and jerk snatches, whatever, so then I don't have to take my thumbs all the time. I got a headband because my hair's getting long and gay. And then also a new jump rope. Oh, that's mad. The handles are actually super tiny. That's so good, so happy. But yeah, you've just been exposed to my very first ever delivery to the podcast. Woo! But yeah, back to the story. Where was I? I was dropping off equipment to this friend, and she mentioned about needing someone to move into this new place, which I'm in now. And I didn't even think of it. I was like, oh, that's cool. Your house is really nice. And then I left and I was like, you know what? I'm a bit over this van stuff. And then I messaged her and asked about pricing and stuff like that. And there you go. Now I'm living here in a house again and having hot showers and all that kind of stuff and all that kind of jazz. And now I can actually work. That was another thing that I found hard. Like, I couldn't do these podcasts like this. I couldn't bring in people to the table and just have conversations with them. It was a lot harder. So that was another thing that was kind of good, to get it, like, to go back to normal. But yeah, anyway, so that's like the end of that. And I know now, yes, I could go back and do that if I really wanted to, and I was like traveling or anything like that, I could probably do it. But I need to get a new mattress because the other one I've kind of worn through. I got pretty heavy during that time, and yeah, mattress couldn't handle it. But yeah, to some questions now. From Thomas Bailey. Where do you shit? Well, Tom, it's a thing called a toilet. There are ones down at the beach, there are ones at the gym, there were ones at my storage unit, there were ones at my family home, there were ones at my partner's home, there was like, but most of the time I'd just go like out in the surf when the surf was super packed, and I'd be like swimming and just like pull down my pants and just like go out there. It was like the easiest thing to do, so yeah, I didn't really use one at all. I legit do not get any serious questions ever. But there was a couple more questions here. Okay, showering. Yeah, the showering was the hardest. It was cold sometimes. I did get a solar shower. It's like one you put on your roof, and then you can, like, it heats up during the day, and then you use the nozzle and you can shower yourself with that. But I got it, filled it up. It had been in someone's garage for a while, and then as soon as I pulled it up by the handle, it split and it just like went everywhere. So that lasted the best of maybe like 12 hours, which was really good. I didn't get to actually use it. So yeah, if you have a gym that you can go to, if you don't have your standard gym, get a membership to Anytime Fitness and just use that. It's like cheaper to be a part of Anytime and like pay water bills, and you can train. which is perfect. And yeah, just get a gym membership, share out a gym. If you have friends, scab a shower off them, give them $1, whatever. But yeah, it's easier now, but during COVID it was harder. Like all gyms were closed, so I was just like swimming, and I'm just like, oh, that's my bath for the day. And yeah, hopefully I didn't smell. Hopefully no one really noticed. But I also didn't tell like really anyone. I think like 3 people knew. My parents definitely didn't know, but then I ended up telling them like a week ago. Mum was in a bit of disbelief that I had gone and done that instead of coming to live with them, because once again she thought that I was just struggling, but I wasn't. And yeah, I told him, and Dad's like, oh, that's pretty cool actually. I'm like, yeah, I know. Okay, next question. Internet situations. Internet, I just had a like 100 gigabyte on my phone, and I would just use hotspot. If not, at Troji Bowling Club, where I was staying near, they have a public hotspot or public Wi-Fi, and I was like using that as well, just parking near there. Next up, daily costs. Daily costs. I was pretty much just paying for fuel and takeaway food. That's it. That is it. It's hard to believe because you're so used to paying like electricity, rent, all that, all this. So it's pretty much just your food and your fuel. You drive around a little bit more, so you do use a little bit more. So maybe $100 a week, maybe in the van $80 a week, and then food, sorry, maybe another $100 a week. But then I also had the storage unit because I was trying to run a business. So that was probably my biggest cost, was the storage unit. So maybe like $350 a week. Just gotta hustle, man. Got to get out there, get it done. That is all the questions I had for that. So yeah, as I said, the next episode for Logan Cole's Convos will be with my either with my physio, or I'm going to get the boys back on. Hope you guys like the one with Luke and Zach, because I'm going to get a couple more boys on. I need to get some new mics. And yeah, if you guys want to hear anything else, then just like either put it down in the comments for YouTube, email me at either like Logan Cole Coaching, what else is there, logancole.podcast@gmail. You can message me on that, inbox me, DM me on Instagram, and make sure if you're listening to the podcast, making sure you're tagging me. Then I know you're listening to it, because I saw heaps of people who were listening to the last one, but ain't no one be tagging me. I just want to see that. I want to see who's doing it, see what we're doing. And anyway, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. That is a little solo one with me. I want to try and do less of these solo ones, but they come around every now and then when a topic comes up. Till next time, guys. Happy lifting, and I don't even know what else to say.